So Terrence is like, cool. So he laid something down real quick. I lay something down real quick, and then like we got the stereo. We about to drop the video, and then Terrence is like, "What John doing?" And then we go down the hall, and John eating like pizza rolls or something like that. He laid something down real quick, and then we just make the video, and then like didn't even imagine that something like that would like happen. I'm still surprised that I don't even know.
My name is Terrence. Whoa, what it do? Okay. Biology major from VCU. Okay. I'm also a chemistry major too. Get 'em. Neurology's what I want to pursue. Go ahead. My name is Terrence. Okay? That's my twin. Oh yeah. VCU's also where I baby. Oh it's therapy, bio, and medicine. Let's get it. Whew. Black excellence. Come on, John.
My name is John.
John.
And these my friends.
We are.
Strong black man.
Come on.
We know you love that melanin.
Okay.
Really got on Rex, ain't playing around. When I go get it, stop playing around. Really got on Rex, ain't playing around. Black man, white coat, shit, we up right now, yeah. You gotta set you a goal. You gotta accomplish your goal.
What is the craziest thing you've ever seen as a medical student?
I would say it was my first C-section that I sat in on. I was running late and I had to do the night shift. It was like 1:00 in the morning. And they were like, as a med student, like we let you do a lot of hands-on things. So I, got up on like the little stool, and as soon as they cut that thing open, it was just a bunch of fluid and like just blood, amniotic fluid. The baby came out crying and everything. And I'm sitting there like shocked, and I'm looking over, and like the dad stands up and looks over the drape because he hears the baby. Like I'm looking at him, he looking at me. He's like, this is crazy. Yeah, so that was by far like the craziest thing.
Oh, that's dope, man. It's kind of like, man, y'all didn't tell us about all this. You didn't tell us all this stuff was going to happen.
Nah.
Hey, that's dope. That's dope. Hey, what is up, fam? It's Dr. Dale. This is the Black Men and White Coats podcast. Man, I'm super excited about today's guest. You guys are going to see why. We got some treats for you guys on this episode. We got some real good treats for you guys on this episode. I'm going to get into introducing them a little bit. You're going to learn about them through the podcast. But before I do, let me remind you all a couple things. Number one, if you have not seen the Black Men and White Coats documentary, go check it out. At the time of this recording, you can watch it for free. Members.bmwcevents.com. Members.bmwcevents.com. Go watch the documentary, right? And number two, hey, remember, we had the app a long time ago. App kind of shut down. It's on the diversemedicine.com. We're rebooting the app now. So be Black Men and White Coats app. Black Men and White Coats app. It's in the Apple store right now. So you got an iOS. We're about to launch the Android. So if you got an Apple, go ahead and join. And when you join, send me a message, right? Send me a connection message so that way I know you joined. We got to get student Dr. Terry Everett on the app here in a second. All right. Hey, we go get him on the app, right? And then you can shoot him a message on the app. How about that? Let's try that. All right. So we're not going to dive into a huge intro here, but today we've got student Dr. Terry Everett, and I might just really just call you doctor. It might slip, so you don't forgive me, right? So I might just Dr. Everett. So we might just rock with that, right? Because in my mind, you're almost there. So he's a 4th year med student at VCU. So 4th year, whatever. You're close enough to me. You know what I'm saying? You're close enough. But man, a lot of you guys have seen this guy probably blow up on social media. He's got some really, really nice stuff on social media. We're going to dive into it. And primarily, what I'm talking about is his way to connect with the next generation using hip hop as a mechanism of exposing them to stuff in medicine. You guys know Black Men and White Coats, we're all about connecting with the next generation. And he's found a really cool, unique way to do it. So we're going to dive into some of that. But yo, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, doing good, man. Happy to be here.
Man, I'm glad to have you, man. Glad to have you. This is a huge one for us just because I feel like the stuff you're doing is so in tune with what we're trying to do, what we've been working on doing these years, right? I feel like when I started doing Black Men and White Coats, it was over 10 years ago now. So I was like younger. I'm not saying I'm like super old, but I was younger. And I felt like it was, it's easier to relate when you're younger. So for me, it's really cool to see you kind of come in here and you have a whole different way of relating to the kids and kind of just the next generation type of thing. I love it. Absolutely love it. So we're going to dive into some of the rap stuff here in a second. But before we do that, I just want to kind of get a sense as to your inspiration to go into medicine at a young age, because right now I look at you as somebody who's inspiring the next generation in a really unique way, right? Hip hop, they'll see like, oh, that's a cool doctor, but so I've been really curious looking at your videos. What was your inspiration to get into medicine to begin with?
I think that's like a multi-layer question, or at least a multi-layer answer. Growing up, I grew up in Newport News, Virginia. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Hampton Roads, but it's not the best environment. My parents
Am I
always tried
familiar
to.
with Hampton Roads? We just had the Black Men and White Coast Youth Summit in Hampton Roads last weekend.
Oh, you
First,
already know
yeah,
it.
the first one, the first Hampton Roads one, the first one out there in Virginia was this past weekend. We're across the country, of course, but you finally made it to your hometown last weekend, so it was dope.
Sick, I missed it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so from Hampton Roads, parents have been together their entire lives, but my dad, he's twice convicted felon. And then my mom, they were both originally from Detroit, Michigan, so an even worse spot. But they moved down to Virginia once they had kids. I'm in the middle between two sisters, and I have my twin brother, of course. But they always try to make sure we had like a great life, good opportunities. And so my mom, she actually went to nursing school while we were around like 8 to somewhere between 8 and 10 years old. And so we lived in like this nice apartment. It was like probably about like 2, 3 bedrooms. If it was 6 people in the house, so, that can get crowded. And so I seen my mom every night study from she would go to work from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., sleep for an hour in the car, and then go to work throughout the day. And then would come home around like 3 o'clock, and then kind of like cook, things like that. Sometimes I would help her study overnight. So that was like my first introduction into like medicine.
Yeah, that's crazy. Hold on. So when was she sleeping for real?
I don't even know. Like she would have days off in between. So she's probably averaging like 2 or 3 hours a day, because she would kind of sometimes sleep after school. But now, like I'm older, I realized what she was doing, and I understood why she would get upset at us for playing in the house if she would sleep throughout the day. Yeah, but just like working and doing those flashcards or back and forth, I was like, that's cool, because I was kind of learning what was going on in like my body, but I didn't necessarily understand the full magnitude of it. And so as I got older, I just realized I really liked the challenge. And then I would also see a lot of people who I always tried to motivate people, but it was a certain capacity in which I could, because some people just had physical disabilities that they couldn't handle. And then on top of that, growing up around kids and then seeing like everybody, grandparents got diabetes, and people are like, might be losing limbs, or they don't understand the complications of diabetes and hypertension. So they think that, the severe complications of those comorbidities are just a result of getting older, when in actuality it's just like, these are like, not correctly controlled conditions, because there's like there's a divide between what the doctor is communicating. They might not be able to have the communication tool, like the proper tools to communicate to you what you need to do outside of what you've been doing to avoid or mitigate those long-term complications. And so I just realized, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's such a fascinating concept. It's funny. It sounds so simple, but I'm not sure I've ever heard anybody quite put it the way you just put it, right? So you got these a population of people that they have chronic medical conditions, but the kids and everybody else who's looking at that, they don't realize, they think that's just part of aging, but they don't realize that that's, hey, like it doesn't have to be that way. That's treatable. That's a fascinating. It seems very simple, right? But for me, hearing it from the way you put it, that exact way you phrased it is really interesting. So kids are thinking like, hey, that's just part of getting old. Like, no, that's not part of getting old. That's exactly. A disease that you stop. That's interesting. I like that.
Yes, I just figured like, I've all kind of been good with people. I like the challenge, and I think that's kind of what just walked me and ushered me right into medicine. Like a lot of people say, I used to think it was always that like I liked helping people, but like I can do anything, like helping people. But I think my main reason was like I hated watching people suffer, and that was like the progression into me going into medicine ultimately.
I love that. I'm actually writing my next book. I think it's like book number 14 or something for me. But it's yeah, I'm in it. But it's I'm on a chapter of like suffering and stuff. It's a book about faith and being in the hospital and stuff. I'm an ICU doc, so right now I'm talking about suffering and things of that sort. So I like how you put that. It's not just about helping people; it's about relieving suffering. I love that, man. So I don't want to glaze over this. You can tell me as much as you're comfortable. So your dad's a convicted felon times 2. Tell me more about that. How did that impact you? Like, how long was he gone for? You said you have plenty enough siblings. So how did that impact you growing up without your dad actually in the house for whatever amount of time he wasn't in the house for, and just knowing that, hey, my dad's gone for being convicted as a felon, and here you are as about to be a doctor. That's crazy, right? So kind of tell us that perspective.
Yeah, so he went away when we were like young. I think like he came back when we were like 3 years old the second time. And I always looked at it as like a advantage, so to speak. Not saying like I'm glad my dad went to jail, like, but it was more so like I was able to be raised by an individual who became a convicted felon as a result of trying to provide for his family, and him teaching me a lot of like the ropes, like street smarts, like all of these things that I wouldn't be keen to had I not had a father who had experienced those things, in addition to a father who wanted the best for his children. That kind of gave me the upper hand, because it's one thing to sympathize with the person, but then like empathy is like completely different, because I'll be in my clinical rotations and you see the guys come in and they handcuffed, chains, all of that on. And like out of like 3 or 4 students, everybody else like, I don't really want to, I'm not comfortable talking to them, which is kind of like a normal response in some situations. You don't know what they are like, convicted for. But it's just like, I talk to guys like that. I was raised by a man like this, so it's more comfortable for me to walk in and have a conversation to give that person quality of care, because my dad has given me, a different perspective that I wouldn't have had otherwise. So I think it's all positives. And then like, in terms of what I experienced growing up, it wasn't him necessarily being gone, but it was us as a family facing the repercussions of like him trying to find a job, or like people stigmatizing him, which kept him from getting high paying jobs, which then we saw the result of that as in our family of 6 people inside of a household.
Your brother, he's in medicine too, or is he PhD route?
He went to NCAT for his master's, and he's out in California teaching, and he's either about to go to PhD route, but right now he's kind of taking a hiatus because he's looking more into like the music side of things. Just had his first show, so I think he's kind of like following his heart, and then we're kind of figuring out a way to balance medicine with the artistry.
Nice. So what is your dad's reaction now, knowing that I'm sure your siblings are doing well too? It sounds like your brother's doing well, and your other siblings, and but in your case, you're about to be a doctor. What is your dad's reaction to that? Like, do you have any sense as to how thrilled, how proud he is?
Yeah, he he tells me all the time. We talk every day. We was actually just there 2 days ago, back in Newport News, visiting them, and he's extremely proud. He always talks about it, and I always got to remind him. It's just like, and it makes me happy. And also, in addition, the reason why I decided to start the music thing is just that I was telling him like, Pops, I'm who you would have been had you had the right opportunities, or like had the right mentor.
Oh my
And
goodness! Hold on, run that back. Say that again. Say that exact line
yeah,
again.
yeah. So I tell him I'm who you would have been if you would have had the right opportunities or the right mentor. So it's just like, him living
Oh man, somebody
vicariously through
made
me,
that a
but
real.
giving
Hey
that
yo, we're making that one a real.
back.
That's deep, man, because that speaks to more than just you. That speaks to ancestry, period.
For
You know,
sure.
that's crazy.
For-
Man, boy, you drop bars just talking, not just in the rhymes, man. All
I
right, all
try.
right.
I try. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I love that though. I love it. I'm sure I mean, goodness gracious. From what your mom went through and your dad, just knowing how much your parents would have supported you to get to the to where you're at right now, that's all dope. I think that's dope. So growing up, the idea of becoming, I know why, kind of what was in your hearts, right? But the idea of becoming a black man in a white coat, did you see any black men in white coats growing up? Did you at least have that visual? And if so, what did it do for you? If not, what were you missing, right?
hmm So I never really seen doctors. Like, I wasn't one of the people that was like, I'm since the age of like 10, I'm gonna be a doctor. Like, it was more so like when I got to high school, I did this international baccalaureate program like through my high school, and so it was like 45 kids. In a normal high school, like a normal public school. And so I'm cool with all the guys who are in the program, because like, we kicking it and everything, but I'm also going to class with parents who are, doctors, lawyers, things like that. And I seen that they lived a different lifestyle. And so that was kind of what got me towards like, okay, maybe it's other things that I can be experiencing in life, because these kids in my class are like, not batting the eye to like the endless opportunities that they have. And then when I got to college, me and my brother, we made that rap video. We were biology majors. So honestly, I didn't even really know about the pathway or route to being a doctor. Like, if you look back at some of the videos, I thought a PhD was like part of like, being a medical doctor. There's multiple routes, but it's just like I wasn't really versed on what the route exactly was. But in college, I took a journey to kind of like soul search. And also, I already told people I was going to be a doctor, so I couldn't like back out. You know what I'm saying? So, like, what I mean? So it was just like a culmination of like me manifesting a lot of things, and then me ending up exactly where I needed to be. So it's just a grab bag of things, essentially.
I love it. I couldn't back out. Yeah, so that rap video was something. Actually, you know what? We'll get to that video here in a second. But tell me about like what were you into as a child? Because you said you didn't decide you wanted to go into
Mhm.
this route until a little bit later, and you went to IBC program and stuff, or IB program. So, what were you like in those high school years, middle school years? Were you already in the books from like middle school? Were you in particular sports? Were you already into music? Like, what
Mhm.
got you going when you were younger?
I wasn't into much. Me and my brother, like we um went like the sports route for a little bit, but we just had too much charisma and we were like street ballers. So like I knew I wasn't gonna like, play for the like college or something like that just because that was like, we just like fit off each other energy. I didn't realize like what I was doing until probably like after I graduated college, what I was kind of interested in. And I say that because like my parents would always say, like, I was a class clown growing up. I wasn't disrespectful, but like I always thought that like I couldn't sit still. I couldn't like, focus for a long time. And then like the teacher would come and set those multiplication papers down. I just burn through it. And then just I always wanted to be the first person to turn something in. And what I thought was just like a personal challenge was actually just me being able to like, do those things, or I was actually interested in the challenge. So that's what resulted in me being a class clown because I had nothing else to do. And I didn't
Yeah.
realize that until I talked to my parents and like my siblings afterwards and been like, yeah, I thought I was just bored. They were like, no, like you always had a gift of being smart. But I just had people believing in me in the time in which I wasn't even focused on what I was doing, essentially. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Oh, not perfect. No, not perfect. I mean, it gives me I love how you said, y'all had too much charisma to play sports. Good off each other's energy. I love it. And the
hey,
class clown stuff. So let's fast forward because I mean that's when it sounds crazy. I'm about to be like, man, that's when y'all really hit the scene. I'm talking about hit the scene like y'all rap stars, like yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's when y'all went platinum jugglers hit the scene. But more or less, that's kind of when you hit the scene, right? When you drop that rap. And I remember seeing that some years back, it was dope, right? So it was a video, it was 3 of y'all, right?
yeah, yeah.
The thing, yeah, and I remember seeing it, and I watched it recently. I don't know if we posted or something, or somebody reposted it. I know I watched it recently again.
Mhm.
But walk us through it, and so for the viewers that don't know what we're talking about, kind of walk us through this when you guys hit the scene.
Yeah, so we got to VCU, and it was Martin Luther King's Day, so the beginning of the second semester, and we got snowed in, so we couldn't go to because we lived on the other campus. We had to take a shuttle to like go get food, go to the main campus, like activities, extracurriculars, and things like that. And so the shuttles were closed down since we were snowed in that day, and we got like 6 inches of snow or something like that. And so me and Terrence, like we were roommates, and then my boy John, the third guy, stayed down the hall. And then across the hall was my friend Skylar, who recorded the video. And so me and Terrence has always been
Man,
super creative. Like
Scholar don't get no love, huh? Don't nobody.
I know, we would try to put on like we try to turn the camera around a little bit, something like we try to get
Hey, yo,
the news
shout out to
articles
Skylar.
sometimes. Shout out to Skylar Landrum, bro. That's my boy. That's still my boy. That's still my boy. But yeah. So like we were snowed in. Terrence just has always been super creative, so he just started like rapping over the beat, and the Geeked Up challenge was already a thing. But like we were like maybe we should do it, and I was like I don't know because we can't be on the internet cussing. Like I don't really like feel comfortable with that. So Terrence is like cool. So he laid something down real quick. I lay something down real quick, and then like we got the stereo. We about to drop the video, and then Terrence is like, "What John doing?" And then we go down the hall, and John eating like pizza rolls or something like that. He laid something down real quick, and then we just make the video, and then like didn't even imagine that something like that would like happen. I'm still surprised that I don't even know what the gem of the video was. It seems like it's something that's hard to replicate, but it was just like something that blew up, and
Hey, yo,
the
producer,
rest is
run the
history.
clip. Run the clip, producer, right now. Drop it right here. That way everybody can see it, man.
My name is Terrence. Whoa, what it do? Okay. Biology major from VCU. Okay. I'm also a chemistry major too. Get 'em. Neurology's what I want to pursue. Go ahead. My name is Terrence. Okay? That's my twin. Oh yeah. VCU's also where I take. Oh my God. It's therapy, bio, and medicine. Let's get it. Whew. Black excellence. Come on,
My
John.
name is John.
John.
And these my friends.
We are.
Strong black man.
Come on.
We know you love that melanin.
Okay.
But that was yeah, it was And, sometimes that's what it is, right? Like sometimes it just takes that one thing. I mean, Black Men and White Coats, the whole Black Men and White Coats thing. That's how this happened. That's how this thing became a thing. It was a very similar story. We weren't rapping, but this little article came out. I was a resident at Duke at the time. The article came out. I went to my brother's apartment. I was like, yo, we got to do something about this. Let's make a video. And then we got so I got my brother, and then we had a buddy also. His name is Simon. I was like, hey, yo, Simon, come on, let's make this video. And we recorded the video, and then it got a bunch of views, and then one thing led to another, right? Movie, all this jazz kind of built up just from that one video. Same exact thing, kind of what y'all did. Yeah, so you never know in my turns. Y'all might get a record label. Y'all might get a deal, man. Y'all might get a deal. Man, stay independent though, man. You guys out here tripping with all these deals nowadays.
No, for sure. I gotta stay in my books.
So look. So while we're at it, man, we're talking about rapping, man. Yo, can we get a verse, man? Off the dome, can we get a verse?
All right, I got. This is like I got a photosynthesis joint. All right, okay. So the photon hits the chlorophyll, which gives it a vibration. The movements, once absorbed, is known as photoexcitation. So the cytochrome comes to that PS2 for a donation. Electron is taken, which is then called oxidation. PS1 is then reduced, and PS2 feels incomplete. It forms a gradient where H plus ions are released. Then goes to the ATP synthase, which converts energy. So right here is the process that we know is photosynthesis converted inorganics into sugar into oxygen, take water, sun, and CO2. The process is unlimited. The synthesis that PS2 and I just like to stimulate. Oh,
hey, let's go.
Sounds like.
That's crazy. So let me ask you this. So you make all the well. First of all, why do you make these? Right? Like why do you make these? And for the viewer who doesn't know, I mean these aren't just like random stuff. He's actually rapping about like real stuff, right? Rapping about education, stuff, rapping about stuff that you can listen to probably and help you on your test, So I'm curious to know, are you making these initially to kind of help you, or are you making it more for the entertainment? Like, why do you actually do this?
So like I have like, when I study, I don't have like full songs, but I've made like mnemonics or things that rap that just kind of work for me. And originally the reason why I did it is because I'm seeing all of these kids listening to music. And like, I seen this one clip when I was younger, and it was talking about a guy talking about how many young gentlemen try to go to the NBA and how few spots there are. And even when you get there, you got about 4 or 5 years max, unless you're like a, superstar. And then I get to school and I'm looking around and I'm like, these guys are putting in so much work for like a very unsure profession when, medicine is still like, unsure, like, you got the algorithm, you got matching and all of that stuff. But it's just like, you can focus your qualities and characteristics elsewhere and yield a higher return and also be more influential in the process. And so, I don't know, the videos just started from like saying that like, you could do it. So my purpose of it now is that if I can catch kids early enough that they can get those medical terms flowing in their head and like they can get a general idea or general understanding. So when they get to biology class or science or organic chemistry, whatever, it can be a smoother transition. Then they'll figure to like enjoy the class more. So then like, I try to make songs as catchy as possible so that it's not teaching you specifically every single thing about what goes on in the process, but you can listen to it on the way to taking your MCAT and then, get a quick 10 questions that's off the rip. So that's, the main reason.
I love it. I mean, you're busy enough, but have you thought about turning it into something more than just like some IG reels, like something more organized that people can use as a true resource in a systematic fashion?
Yeah, I think I just need to like develop a team. It's something I haven't really looked into like too much yet, because I used to make like the raps beforehand when I was in college when I had a little more time. But like now that I have a lot more information, I'm a little more confident in what I'm like instructing people on in the songs. It's a little bit harder because like, med school is kind of picking up fourth year and everything like that. And so my second half of fourth year, I'm planning on kind of like getting the team together, figuring out like the algorithm of YouTube and like things like that. Seeing if we can get some animations going or something like that. Just kind of figuring out ways to get resources to fund, these projects, but definitely want it to be streamlined in like an organized way as opposed to just like, consistently dropping music. Because if it can be optimized, then, why not?
What's your social media handle?
So Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, it is Terry _ the twin, TERRY _ the twin. I think that's all I really use right now. Spotify, Dr. Durag, DR, no period in the middle though. DR space DURAG. And so that's my main socials right now.
So y'all go follow him, and if anybody, like you said, if anybody wants to fund him, man, hey, y'all hit him up. If anybody wants to help out with this project, that'd be a worthwhile project. Y'all hit him up so y'all can support that. So all that, all that is, to me, is a very unique approach to, again, reach the next generation, kind of bridge that gap, that divide. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. What right now? So you're fourth year med students right now. What field, like what things are interesting you? Which direction do you think you want to go in the future?
Yeah, so I like anesthesia is what I'll be applying it to. Still got a few more rotations, but that's like at the top. Internal medicine is great. Also a segue because anesthesia, I just got off of my neuroscience ICU rotation, and I really like critical care. And
Let's
so like,
go.
yeah, so it was
That's what I'll do. Let's go.
yeah, a lot of thinking, and then also like being able to like do procedures and as well. So it's like yeah, anesthesia, then ICU route, internal medicine, and honestly, those are like the main two that I'm interested in. I haven't like sat on anything else, but those two are pretty solid.
So I mean, yeah, you're about to apply. So anesthesia is the route. You got to lock in and focus, and get what you're going for.
For sure.
Top 5 rappers of all times.
The crazy part about it though is that I didn't even really listen to music like that for so this is about to be a trash list, but let me see. It's about to be garbage.
You might say people I don't even know for real because I don't listen to music now. I used to, but now
yeah,
probably.
Yeah, it's about to be bad. I think one is Tupac, not just because of his raps, but also like his philosophy outside of rapping.
How old are you?
27.
So y'all, okay. I don't know where that Tupac generation kind of.
Yeah,
I don't know the age where people don't listen to Pac anymore. Like like my kids, like my oldest knows who Tupac, but I'm pretty sure like none of his friends probably know who Tupac is. He's only he's not even a teenager. He's only 12, but there's got to be some age. I don't know where it is. I don't know if it's like the 18-year-olds. Yeah, there's some age where people, All right, so Tupac, I give you that's
Tupac.
Can't argue with that.
The rest is not really like rappers for lyricism, but it's more so like rappers for entertainment. So like Migos by far, like heavily influential in terms of like, what Terrence and John used to do, what I try to incorporate now, because it's like a funner approach to music. I'm a Playboy Cardi fan, like crazy enough. That guy, he makes bangers.
I don't know who that is, man. I ain't gonna cap. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I mean, your son, he probably working out to him now, for real.
Yeah, he baby.
And let me see who else. I don't really listen to. I'm gonna just have to cheat and be like Dad, and then 3 people with Amigos, and then Playboy Card. Like I don't listen to music. Like let me give a word of advice because I stopped listening to music. In college, well, I still listen to music like on short drives and stuff like that. But I think that coming from the background that I came from, I would say the most influential thing that I did was get YouTube Red or like, listen to podcasts and stuff strictly while I work out. Eric Thomas, like CT Fletcher's, Goggins, of course, like Jocko, those guys working out. Because what it did was I feel that like people come to me and they say, how do I improve my self-talk? And it's not even something I necessarily even thought about because like I'm consistently listening to these guys. And so when I'm in the gym and it's like, you just got to work through it, that is also applied to my life. And so like, that's what I tell people like from time to time is like, try to get as much positive, like, motivation, things like that in your head as much as possible. Cause like motivation can only do so much, but if you have like that first boost, then you can then jump to the next level. So that's what makes who the best 5 rappers of all time hard. Cause like I kind of just supplemented it for kind of feed myself.
I'm with you. I'm same thing. I stopped listening to like music probably like I don't know over 10 years ago or something too. I listened to like you said probably some stuff whatever. I listened to a few things, but for probably over 10 years now, definitely car rides or sermons or all these same things. So I listen to a lot of Eric Thomas. I listen to one of my favorites right now is a guy named Myron Golden. Right, if you guys aren't listening to Myron Golden's phenomenal. All these guys, Jim Rohn, I used to do a little bit of Goggins stuff. Goggins is, I like Goggins. He's got so much energy though. I gotta calm down
So
sometimes,
it's so
You know, yeah, I know. Was it stay hard, whatever he says. But anyways, so I'm gonna co-sign what you're saying to the young ones. If you guys can get to the point at an early age where you understand, and it's stuff Myron Golden be talking about all the time. Your input determines your output. So the stuff that you're listening to is going to determine what you're capable of doing. That's why I stopped listening to it. I stopped listening to it because I realized a lot of stuff I was listening to subconsciously was influencing me in ways I didn't want to influence me. So just like you said, I started listening to these things that I knew was building me up, rather than things that lives that I'm not living. Stuff
yeah,
like
for
that.
sure, for sure.
Let me ask you this one though. Two more hip hop questions on this. So the first one is name one rap. It's gonna be tough. You I got to do it if you don't want to, but give it a shot.
Accepted.
Yeah, name one rapper that you rap better than, that you think you rap better than.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I rap. This might be wild, but I feel like I rap better than like a majority of rappers. And this is the reason I say that is because one of my initial reasons for going into like, because I never really cared about rap in the first place, but I've seen that it can be a medium of artistry to then like connect to students. But if like rappers are like, it'll be like, all right, I'm about to drop a song, and like I'm about to drop a song in like 3-4 weeks, and it's the same thing that you was talking about on the last song, and then you got an album talking about the same, like, you know what I mean? So it's just like what I'm doing is very difficult. It's very like straining. It's something that like I love the challenge because I like going back and forth with it. And I'm saying what I'm doing. I'm not saying what I'm doing is better than anything that anybody else is doing. But what I am saying is that it requires more rigor to then yield a higher output that you can consistently listen to. So with my songs right now, they might not hit and they might not go platinum. And these next 5 years, even like, this next decade. But like, this is something that you could turn on 15 years from now when the Krebs cycle is still going to be the Krebs cycle. You know what I mean? So it's like, I guess it's like, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but it's like, I encourage rappers to challenge themselves and stop saying the same thing. Cause it's, I don't have that you, like, it's just the same thing consistently. And I love the flows of the rappers, but it's like, dang, if you would have put words behind it that meant something that then can teach something, that's the hard part,
Yeah, and nobody trying to listen to that. That's a problem, man.
Nah,
you get people who listen to that, and I think what you guys are doing is what is amazing, because you're like, I feel like more in a box, right? Because if you're rapping about photosynthesis, you can't just say whatever. You have to say stuff directly pertinent within there's only so many, there's only certain words that describe what's happening in photosynthesis, right? You're rapping about, the Krebs cycle or whatever. There's only certain things, ATP, acetyl-CoA. There's certain things you have to say to make it all make sense, man. So, what you're doing, I agree. It takes more rigor, it takes more discipline, takes more thought to actually make that happen in a legit fashion.
Yeah.
For the next generation, what do you want? What would you want your legacy to be? What would you want, when your career is over and people are looking at Dr. Everett? What would you want them to say about Dr. Everett?
Man, I would want people to say that he made people feel good enough about themselves to be better, or like, be the best that they can. I think that like one thing that I'm realizing in medical school that's pretty hard for me is that like, I didn't have like parents in medicine. Like my mom was a nurse, but or like parents as physicians. And so I'm kind of getting used to like this lifestyle and like, what to expect in being a doctor and everything. And I think that one of the most difficult things, and I really appreciate my wife for this, and she's been like very helpful along the process, is that like medical school teaches you to be a great doctor, well, a good physician, but it doesn't reinforce being a good person. And so like those two together is what makes a great doctor. You see somebody on the street, that's your patient, they come up, they hug you, things like that. Like I want like those relationships. And I think it's very hard to always be cognizant of that. So you have to be very intentional about who you are outside of like, the white coat. And actually my mom, she mentioned like the black man and white coat stuff when we were like way back, like way back. Like when we were like first around the time when we first started. That wasn't when we first started college. It was sometime in that like, that thing of college, and I was reading one of the forums. I guess somebody who was affiliated, or somebody who kind of worked with a group of black men in white coat, and it was just talking about black men in white, like being a black man in a white coat isn't just presentation, but it's actually like, oxymoron in some senses, because it's like the reason why it's so special for a black man to be in a white coat is because those two lifestyles contradict. Because for the most part, most of us are like, we're family oriented, we're doing what we need to do, we're trying to make an impact, we're trying to get involved in ways in which that serve the community at no little to no benefit to us immediately. Like you don't get that immediate gratification, but overall it's like you have to go through so much just to be able to help the community in which you've come from. And like, I think about it all the time. I relate to the patients more than I relate to my classmates. And sometimes that can be very lonely, but it's like, I'm doing this for a reason. And so like, to answer that and like in its totality, I want people to see the sacrifices that I'm making are because I want people to be better or know what they're capable of, so then that they can go and double what I did the next generation, and they can double what they did. And just like, a few years down the road from now, it's just gonna be something like that you never would even imagine.
Yeah, it'd be commonplace, man. It'd be commonplace to see people who look like us. I love it. I love it. And I think that's also something I'm writing about right now in my book. The concept you just alluded to. If I'm being honest, sometimes I think, like you said, you want your doctor to be a good person. I'm not saying anybody's good, anybody's bad, whatever. But there are people in medicine who would not be my friend, right? People who I would
Yeah,
not
for sure.
invite to my house. But there can be a persona. I was thinking about this today when I was walking in the hospital earlier on. Now, patients look at doctors and they see us and they want us to be kind of in their mind perfect, flawless, act a certain way, behave a certain way, and they have this kind of box as to what a doctor should be. Because that's what you want in your doctor. You want your doctor to be a certain way because you want to feel confident in your doctor. But none of us are really like what the patient envisions us to be, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Ultra professional. Like nobody's always like, yes, ma'am, I'm gonna do my best. Hold your hand. That nobody's always on that. At least it'd be very difficult to do it. And there are some doctors who are just in it, and want to be the best they can at your skill. Some want to make money. But the thing, my brother and I, who he runs Black Men in White Coats with me, the thing that we're always talking about is this idea of what society needs, or what you said, are good people to become doctors, right? Especially nowadays with the way technology is going. 10 years from now, we're gonna. I'm not gonna be able to argue with a computer algorithm about what the diagnosis is in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
15 years. The computers are gonna be able to. It's a numbers game. They're going to be able to give us the odds of a disease way better than I can do it from looking at you and saying what I think is wrong. That's why people are always, it's a physical exam. The physical exam is great. It's phenomenal. Learn your physical exam. Be the best at your physical exam that you can be. But I'm a pulmonary critical care doctor. I tell people, I don't care how good of a job you did listening to those lungs. It's not as good as a CAT scan.
That's true.
So technology is advancing so fast that what people are going to need more of in the field of medicine are good people who care, who are willing to go the extra mile for your patients. That's what's going to be needed in medicine. So I'm really happy that you kind of pointed that out. We'll wrap this up here in a second, but I did want to ask you, and I thought about this ahead of time as well, and you just mentioned it, which is why I'm coming back to it. So you're married. When did you get married, and how is it relationship wise while you're in med school? Med is very demanding. What, if you don't mind sharing, what does your wife do, etc.? Like, how do you all deal with that, with your demanding time schedule, etc., while you're a med student? And this for a lot of people who are probably considering marriage, relationships while they're going through this medical process.
First and foremost, I forgot to put on my ring. My wife, she gonna talk about it later. She gonna say something about it. So sorry, man. But honestly, like it's. So she works for the FDIC. She works for the government, has a great remote job, which allows us to be a lot more flexible. We have 2 dogs. She goes in the office every once in a while. She runs conventions, things like that. And so she's very active in her job. And then she also recently just became a solid core coach. And so she's a beast. Like she is, I tell like some of the young guys like who are like, graduating from college, trying to go to med school and all of this stuff. And like, they're still on the scene. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that now because you're young, but just make sure that like when it's time to like, the woman that you choose is going to, or partner, whoever that you choose is going to be heavily influential in how successful you are in the future because you're working towards the same thing. And so, shout out to Kayla, love my wife. I just want to get that out there. But it's at first, it was cute at first. Like, we met by second semester of first year, and then we got, I'm trying to think of the timeline. Second semester, first year, and then we got married right before I transitioned to my third year. So we got engaged probably by like 5 or 6 months. No, got engaged 7 months after meeting, and then we got married within like a year and a half later. And at first, it was like a lot of headbutting, and the reason being is because she has expectations as any person would, but it's like she didn't choose to go to medical school. And so like what I like as a person in medical school or like, somebody in the healthcare profession, you are then dragging your partner to like be involved in a commitment that they didn't necessarily make out of like, just fully supporting your interests and things like that. And so we used to butt heads a lot because the life just wasn't similar. Like, I wasn't working from, 8 to 5 in a day and then coming home and just hanging out and chilling and then having weekends to just like, wake up and go watch and see the stars or something like that. It was like, I'm studying during the week, I'm working during the week, and then I'm working on weekends or studying during the weekends and all of that. And what I kind of had to realize is like, dang, she not budget for real. Like, we meet in the middle, we compromise, but it's just like, it's only but so much that I can say like, no, you don't understand. Because eventually I just had to realize like, I don't understand. Like, I'm so focused on like reaching this goal and trying to become a doctor that like, I always also want to be like a good father. I want to be a good person in general. I want to be like involved in my community. And what that is going to take is me being uncomfortably like shifted into somebody who has to be able to multitask and knowing that I can't give 100% in every single like, section because I got to give a little bit here, make sure I save some for myself and all of that. And so overall, like having her in the process, she's been very like diligent with me. She's been very graceful. And she's never let that expectation down to let me fall through the cracks in saying that I can't do this is unacceptable. And if it was something that I felt like I couldn't do, we work a way for it so that we still have a good life outside of the hospital. And like my classmates beforehand, they used to be like, man, like you having a good life. And it's like, I am, but it's like the beginning wasn't easy because it was a process of me having to realize that like, just because I'm a doctor, that doesn't make me like, this high value man and like, everything I say goes and things like that. I never really thought about that, but you understand and like, people don't understand the sacrifices that you make. And then you can easily just be like, you don't understand, but it's like, I also don't understand. And so just having her here has been like she's been keeping me, she's kept my head above water and also let me realize that like, it's the family connections, the going to see our extended families, going to spend time here, going to have fun, dates, romance, things like that. Like everything that gives me a good life outside of my profession, she's been heavily involved in that. And I'm, forever, thankful for it.
I love it. Like my wife and I are similar. My wife's in medicine. Funny thing is my wife's in medicine too. And I remember when she was pregnant with our first or maternity leave after we had our first child, I remember she would get upset with me. She'd be like, "You never hear you're in the hospital." I'm like, "Babe, you know how this goes." But yeah, but that's how I go. But I know exactly what you're saying though, and that's very important to realize. Like, if medicine is not who you are, right? Like medicine is not who you are. Medicine is what you do, is what you love to do, but medicine is not who you are, and you have to find a way to prioritize in your life and figure out what's valuable and be able to do if you choose to get married, be able to do with that partner, be able to do with your wife as you're going on this journey. I think the best thing you just said there is realizing when you're married that you guys have to have you gotta be working together towards that same goal. Because if not, man, that's where the drama comes in. That's where the drama, that's where things get hard.
For sure.
Let me leave you with the last bit of advice. If you were going to, I'm going to leave you with this, let you leave the audience with this, and I'm going to ask you to say one thing for us to wrap it up. But I'd like you to leave the audience with, if you were talking back to your, let's say 15-year-old self, what bit of advice would you give?
I would say check the boxes. Um, and I think like what I mean by that is like figure out exactly what you need to do and then check the boxes. And it sounds simple, but like knowing which boxes that you need to check requires you seeking mentorship early. It requires you placing yourself around people who are on the path to success or like similar paths to success. It requires you building up the stamina and the endurance and the capabilities of doing the things that you need to do a lot later in life, like and for the future. And so, say for instance, it's like having mentorship. I'm always big on mentorship. Honestly, if you know any guys that are like open to mentorship, I would love more mentorship, but I also like, love giving back to a lot of the younger guys. But the main thing is that look at the people who are in front of you, say, okay, like you did this, you did this, you did this, and then take all of that and bring it together and say, okay, these are things that work. Because if I make sure I see what target I gotta hit, I can step offside for a little bit, have some fun, and then get back on track, and step offside, have a little fun, and get back off track, And so I think that'll be my word of advice, because I feel like sometimes it took a lot of like soul searching and me searching to figure out, what I wanted to do and all of these things. How do I get there? And me not knowing which boxes to check at the time, a lot of imposter syndrome has set in. And all of those things. So if you're a young individual, if you're an older individual, like my advice would just be know what boxes to check to get you to where you want to be, and then you can live fluidly within that area, that box.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, to bring this home, I'm going to ask you to say these words. My name is, you say student doctor or doctor, whatever. My name is student doctor or Dr. Terry Everett, and I'm a black man in a white coat.
My name is student Dr. Terry Everett, and I'm a black man in a white coat.
Really got on Rex, ain't playing around. When I go get it, stop playing around. Really got on Rex, ain't playing around. Black man, white coat, shit, we up right now, yeah. You gotta set you a goal. You gotta accomplish your